the easiest decision of your trip. Bruce Arians created shockwaves throughout the football world by announcing his retirement. Many assumed a rift with Tom Brady may have been the reason. But with Todd Bowles stepping in as coach, Jarrett Bell of USA Today wrote, "This succession is so fitting in that it reflects the progressiveness that Arians has been so unselfish in pushing for. Bowles just became the 6th minority coach in a league that has a shameful track record in providing opportunity for people of color." Arians spoke about that succession yesterday. Interesting stuff. Take a listen.
A number of people have already asked, why are you stepping away from a chance to go to Hall of Fame and win another Super Bowl? Because I don't give a about the Hall of Fame. Succession is way more important to me. This has been my dream for a long time. Guys that know me, they knew I wanted one of my guys to take over. And that's more important to me than anything. And have a place where I could go and be welcomed back.
Different take on this. Shannon, is Jarrett Bell right that Arians isn't getting enough credit for what he just did for Todd Bowles?
Two things can be true. Let's address the Jarrett Bell situation. Skip, I don't know anybody that sit up here and do what we do that have not commended BA for what he's done for minorities, especially African Americans. He put Todd Bowles in place on his staff when he was at Arizona. He brought in a Byron Leftwich who had no coaching experience and made him offensive coordinator. Keith Armstrong.
He actually talked Byron into trying coaching because Byron just wanted to stay retired and play golf. And he said, you can do this.
Thank you.
Okay.
He put women on the staff when it was unheard. Nobody was even thinking about women in football.
Totally agree.
He did that when he was at Arizona.
Yep.
And when he came to Tampa, he brought Byron with him. He brought a few of those women with him. Todd Bowles, if I'm not mistaken, Skip, was at the Jets at the time. He ends up bringing Todd Bowles with him after he gets let's go at the Jets. Keith Armstrong, who's the special teams coordinator, is also African-American. So B.A. is to be commended for what he's done, not only for minorities, black coaches, but for women. So this is not just a cliche. It's not a hashtag. It's not a slogan for him. He lives it. So he is to be commended. And I would like to think we've given him his flowers, a big bouquet of flowers. And if we haven't, let me take the time out and say from Undisputed BA, you are to be commended. From Shannon Sharp and Skip Bayless and everybody here, you are to be commended for what you've done.
Thank you.
Now, Skip, I believe you could commend him, but still question how did we get here? Because at the end of the season, Tom Brady did not announce his retirement. Had BA said, you know what, guys, I'm going to step aside. I believe it's time for Todd Bowles to take the helm. Nobody would have batted an eye. But because you say you're coming back and how enthusiastic you were to coach a Blaine Gabbert, a Kyle Trask, even though Tom Brady retired, you seem to, everybody say Blaine Gabbert is bad, but we like him. We got high hopes. Kyle Trask is going to be a really good quarterback. You seem so enthusiastic about coaching those guys. Now, so let me get this. You enthusiastic about coaching Kyle Trask and Blaine Gabbert. Tom Brady comes back and you retire. That's what people are confused by because you had ample opportunity to do that right after the season. It was March, late March. All the coaching vacancies had been filled. You could have done that. Oh, and they got this is the way they can get around the Rooney Rule. Look here, man. They've been getting around the Rooney Rule for 25 years. They know how to get around the Rooney Rule. Stop this. So for me, I think, Skip, that's the question. But here's the thing, Skip. I'm going to leave you with this, and you tell me what you think. No black coach has been under more pressure than what Todd Bowles is under. Because this is only the 12th time since 1963 a minority has been given a second chance to coach. Because what they normally say is that, okay, black, you got to go rebuild. Okay, build Arizona, Steve Wilkes. Okay, build the Jets, Todd Bowles. Okay, Marvin Lewis, build Cincinnati. Yeah. You have the de facto, the greatest quarterback to ever live, and he's in your lap.
Yeah.
If you do not win with him, what are the owners going to say? Todd Bowles got a second chance, and he got a second chance with Tom Brady, and he did what? So the amount of pressure.
Okay, but you should love that pressure, right?
Yes, go ahead. But I'm just saying.
Yes, it is.
The amount of pressure that he's under to be successful.
No doubt.
No other black coach has ever experienced anything like this in the history of the NFL.
Unless when Dungy handed off to Jim Caldwell,
Right.
it was in the ballpark.
Right.
But go ahead. Yep.
But Jim Caldwell hadn't been given a second chance. That was his first head coaching job.
Yep.
Skip.
And Todd was 24-40 with the Jets, but
Right.
he did have the 10-6 year in which they didn't make the playoffs. But go ahead.
Yes. So I commend him. But for people to say, oh, yeah, that was a great gesture by BA, it was a great gesture. I'm just questioning how did we end up getting to this gesture. I believe Tom Brady played a role. It turned out, Skip, the cake turned out great. I forgot the cake was in the oven, had a phone call, somebody knocked on the door, and I remember just in time. And I ran and took the cake out, and it didn't burn. That's what we had here. We got a situation that turned out great. But how did we get here? I don't believe we got here under ideal circumstances. I just refuse to believe that, although I'm happy with the ultimate outcome.
Okay. Thank you for everything you just said. I co-sign every point you just made. We both know Jarrett Bell. We've had him on the show numerous times. I'm his biggest fan. I came up in the business with him, and I appreciated that he strode out to the end of the limb and said, I'm planting a flag out here because I want to underscore the fact that something shocking just happened.
Yes.
And something beautiful just happened. And he wanted to give BA his flowers as he walks into the Tampa sunset, walks up the stairs to the GM's office.
Right. And he's going in the Ring of Honor.
And he's going in the Ring of Beautiful. Okay, got it. And in Jarrett's lead, he says that this coach, Bruce Arians, for years has championed diversity for the NFL coaching ranks more passionately than any other white coach in the league. And we're good.
White coach? Any other black coach?
Yeah. So Jarrett's conclusion is, at the top of this piece is, he passed the torch to Todd Bowles and stepped down. I'm sorry, Jarrett, you lost me there. I will go to my grave believing this was all about Tom Brady.
Yeah.
I believe that everything that transpired thereafter was a beautiful coincidence.
Correct.
And it was. It was a perfect counter-narrative. It was a fairy tale ending to what had become, in my view, a nightmarish situation for Thomas Edward Patrick Brady Jr., one that he had decided he could no longer live with in Tampa as a Buccaneer. So it's clear to me, as I told you from the start, Brady didn't retire from football. He retired from the Bucs. He was trying to break away from the Bucs and open up opportunities for him to test the water with the Shanahans in San Francisco. They said no for a second time. There was the possibility he could go with Sean Payton to Miami, and the door got slammed in his face because of the Brian Flores lawsuit, and all of a sudden everything changed.
Correct.
And then he comes back to Tampa and he says, look, I just can't live with this anymore. I love the guy, because he does love the guy, and everything he posted, I believe with all my heart and soul. He just didn't love playing for the guy. He loves working directly with Byron Leftwich, and Bruce wouldn't allow that, because Bruce has coached Peyton Manning and Andrew Luck and Ben Roethlisberger and Carson Palmer.
And I am the head coach. I get all this. Y'all working closely together.
There's a big ego going on there.
Of course.
And yet he often brags about, I coached all those guys. Well, which came first, the chicken or the egg? Did you create them, or did they create you? Because I'm sorry, I think it was a little more of the latter.
Yes.
Because those guys are really good.
Yeah.
And I could have coached them okay, because I'd just say, just go. Just
you
do
just
it.
let Peyton get out of his way.
Don't you just try to stay out of the way
Yes.
at some point? Okay, so he's a great guy. He's a fun guy.
He is.
But big ego, and he's got this compulsion to show players that, by God, I'll cuss you all out. And he said yesterday at the media session, he said, I cussed them all out, including this guy.
Right.
And Brady
was sitting
positioned himself right in the front row.
Yeah.
Because Brady wanted the narrative to be, don't blame me, I didn't do this.
Skip, and this is what I've told you. I say, Skip, hear me, and I wasn't near the player. I didn't like being cursed out. You think that guy, with all that on his resume, and you cursing you out in front of everybody else? Everybody's like, damn, you hear B.A.? They're going to get cursed out, Brady out.
And remember, it started with the opening game.
Yes.
Brady has joined the Buccaneers. And remember, it was a pandemic. There were no preseason games. He got no time to work with brand new group of receivers. And you get thrown into the fire against your arch rival within the division at New Orleans.
Yep.
Game 1 is at New Orleans. And Tom didn't play particularly well. They kind of hung in for a while, but he threw a couple picks. One was a pick 6. And after the game, Bruce gives him no breaks at all. He blasts it. Could have played better. That was a bad throw. That was a bad idea. I'm just paraphrasing.
I got no indication that it would be like this based on practice.
I got no indications. Don't look at Bruce is like, don't look at me. Ask him what happened to him. I thought he was the GOAT, right?
Yeah.
You can't do that to him because you can't do it to any quarterback. I don't care if it's Marcus Mariota. You can't do it to him.
Right.
It's just wrong, and it's your ego speaking. I'm Bruce Arians. I don't know who he is.
I coach how I coach.
Yeah, I coach how I coach, and I coached all these greats, and I don't know what happened to the legend. I thought he was a legend, right? Okay. And then it continued through the year. And I don't know, there were probably 4 or 5 other games where Bruce just blasted him after the game with no respect. And to me, the bridge got set on fire there. And then I think it got worse and worse through the year last year because I told you it really reminded me of Troy Aikman under Jimmy and then Troy having to deal with Barry Switzer, who was more loosey-goosey, Bruce Arians out of that mold. And Barry didn't care if you were a little late for practice. Mike Shanahan really cared if you were late